Probability sampling refers to the selection of a sample from a population. When this selection is based on the principle of randomization, that is, random selection or chance. Probability sampling is more complex, more time-consuming, and usually more costly than non-probability sampling. Non-probability sampling is a form of sampling that does not utilize random sampling techniques, where the probability of getting any particular sample may be calculated. Non-probability samples are not intended to be used to infer from the sample to the general population in statistical terms.
Simple random sampling is a statistical method where each member of a population has an equal and independent chances of being selected for the sample. This ensures that the selection process is unbiased and random. Basically, what is being said here is that there is no bias in selecting to be a sample, meaning anyone can be selected as a sample. An example of simple random sampling would be to choose the names of 10 students out of a hat from a classroom of 50 students. In this case, the population is all 50 students and the sample is random because each student has an equal chance of being chosen.
Stratified method, dito nadi-divide ang population into subgroups called strata. Nagbe-base ito sa shared characteristic nila, then a random sample is taken from stratum, equally to make sure that all subgroup presented in final sample. In total, senior high school student of MDA has 4,000 students. For formula, meron tayong sample size of stratum, population, at sample size. Para sa sample size of stratum natin, pipili lang tayo ng isang strand. For example, yung STEM. Ang STEM ay merong 760 student. Para naman sa population natin, ito yung 4,000. Para naman sa sample size, given na to, bali 200. Yung sample size natin na 760 student, i-divide siya sa population, which is 4,000. Then, ito times sa 200.
Systematic sampling is a methodology technique used to select a representative sample from a larger population. In a context of teaching methods, systematic sampling can be applied to select a subset of students or classes for a particular study or assessment. Here's how it works. Step 1. Define the population. Identify the entire group of students or classes that you want to study. Then step 2. Determine the sampling interval. Decide on a fixed interval such as 5th student or every 3rd class. Step 3. Select the starting point. Randomly choose a starting point from the population. And the last step, select the sample. Using the determined interval, select every 9th class from the starting point. Example, suppose you want to study the learning outcomes of 100 students in a school. You decide to use systematic sampling. Of course, define the population, determining the sampling interval, and select the starting points. Select the sample students. By using systematic sampling, you'll end up with a representative example of 10 students. By understanding systematic sampling, teachers and educators can apply this methodology to various teaching methods, such as assessing students' learning outcomes, evaluating program effectiveness, or conducting research studies.
Cluster sampling is a statistical method that population is divided into naturally occurring groups. Example, sa senior high school student ng Molimar is may 6 na strand doon. Kukuha lang tayo doon sa 6 na yon ng 3 ng representative. STEM, UMS, ABM ang kukunin natin. Ang student sa STEM is 760. Sa UMS naman is 590. And ABM is 720. Bawat strand, kukuha tayo ng 50 na tao. Tapos ipagpa-plus natin siya. Sa sample size naman, pag na-plus na natin siya, ng 150, kasi 3 siya, 150 siya. Sa sample size naman, yung 150 na yan, i-divide siya sa 3 kasi kumuha tayo ng 3 na representative sa strand na kinuhaan natin. So 150 divide 3 equal 50.
A convenience non-probability sampling is when researchers choose participants who are easy to reach rather than selecting them randomly. This means that everyone in the population has an equal chance of being included. So let's, for example, a teacher wants to know the student's favorite subject. So only ask their own class instead of the whole school. So this method is quick, cheap, and simple, but it may not fully present the whole school's opinions.
Quota sampling. Quota sampling is a non-probability sampling technique where researchers divide the population into specific subgroups or quotas based on characteristics such as age, gender, or income. Then they select participants non-randomly within each quota until they reach a predefined number. This method ensures representation of key groups but may introduce bias since participants are chosen based on convenience rather than randomness. Here are the examples of quota sampling. First is library book preferences. The librarian wants to know what type of books students like. They decide to ask 20 boys and 20 girls from different grades. They make sure to meet the number of instead of randomly selecting anyone. Second is extracurricular activity survey. The school wants to know which activities are most popular. They survey 30 students who play sports, 30 students in music or art clubs, and 30 students not in any club. They stop once they have enough from each group.
Snowball sampling. Snowball sampling is a way of finding research participants when they are hard to reach. How it works. The research starts with a small group of people called seeds. These people invite others they know to join the study. The new participants then invite more people and the process continues like a snowball. Why it is useful? Helps find people in hidden or special groups like rare disease patients or secret communities. Build trust because participants are invited by people they know. This method is useful in research when regular sampling methods don't work.
Voluntary sampling is a non-probability sampling method where participants choose to participate in a study. It's a common technique for gathering data through surveys.